Hello, I'm Erica McMullen. Welcome to R1 presentation of an article entitled Outcomes of Management and Leadership Development. The article Outcomes of Management and Leadership Development, authored by Patrick McGurk, appeared in the Journal of Management Development in 2010. The research question guiding the article is, to what extent did different management and leadership interventions contribute to the organizational success in responding to the changing social services environment? The participants in the intervention were middle managers in a local authority adult social services department in the UK. There were three interventions. The first was management development. The diploma in management was a year-long part-time management development program. The second was leader development. From Good to Great was a 3-day residential leader development course. And the third was leadership development. Inspirational Leadership was a 6-month series of 1 to 2-day leadership development workshops. The evaluation design used a case study approach with 18 in-depth interviews using semi-structured critical incident technique. Participants were selected through snowball sampling, and organizational and HR documents were reviewed. The results of the management development program were as expected on individual, business, and organizational outcomes. Participants in the leader development program had individual outcomes, but the program did not have any business or organizational results. The leadership development program saw specific and relevant business and organizational outcomes. The aim of the organizational evaluation plan was very specific. The research question was to determine the impact of 3 development programs on organizational success. HRD professionals need to be specific on 2 fronts. The first is, what type of development are they conducting? Management, leader, and leadership are 3 different concepts, although admittingly overlapping in some areas. There is more research on competency-based learning management programs than on action learning leadership development. The second area is to determine the learning outcomes of the development program. Mapping out expected outcomes provides clarity. The more specific, the better. Instead of having general outcomes like, we want better managers, this research categorized individual, business HR, and organizational, which differs from each other. Determining specific learning outcomes also helps HRD professionals identify unintended outcomes, both positive and negative, as well as the effectiveness of the program. In addition, the research helps HRD professionals reflect on the context of their organization and their managers in order to determine what type of development programs would work at their organization. In evaluating this article, what I have learned is saving the best for last is the wrong approach. What I mean by this is most organizations roll out change efforts and think about evaluation later. It's almost as if evaluation is an afterthought or retrofitted to what someone wants to launch. Evaluation has to be part of the upfront design to articulate and align program theory and impact theory. This takes time and resources, and it's not just sending out a survey. In the article, McGurk presented a typology of management and leadership development, adapted from Gold and Day. Then he presented a model of management and leadership development outcomes that you see here. Finally, he used the model to document the outcomes of the evaluation plan. I must admit that I've not proactively diagrammed out a model like this for a client intervention or even when I was an employee. I have seen program models, and I was responsible for 2 healthcare grants that contained them. But honestly, I did not fully appreciate the necessity of them. I think what happens in the field is that we go off of correlated ideas that a certain intervention is going to improve the workplace or employee behavior. Second, an evaluation plan will not answer all your questions. There are many internal and external factors that impact training transfer and outcomes. However, taking the time to diagram a program model will help you think through those contextual factors and maybe account for them. Number 3, qualitative data matters. I'm conditioned to think that quantitative data is best. I'm not really sure how that thought became a belief, but it is. But what I've learned is looking for patterns and themes is relevant. I was surprised to see 18 interviews sufficient for this article. Frankly, I kind of laughed. But according to Flanagan's critical incident technique, the sample size is not determined by the number of participants, but rather by the number of critical incidents observed or reported, and whether the incidents represent adequate coverage of the activity being studied. Thank you for your time and attention. I'll see you on the discussion board.